Should you open a wood restoration business in Dallas, Texas? Welcome to the Dallas area deep dive. Hey, I'm Ty, founder of Preservin, and today we're going to be talking about Dallas, Texas, a really great market for potentially a Preservin franchise. That's what we're going to be covering. But before we get started, let's talk about Preservin. What is Preservin? Preservin is a wood rot repair company. Of course, we repair way more than just wood rot, though. We repair termite damage from pets, damage from critters like squirrels and raccoons, and really just about anything that can get damaged on a home to wood. And why do people love Preservin? Well, they love it because we repair, not replace. We use a proprietary series of epoxy compounds that allow us to repair all of this, and that saves people a ton of money. A typical project, we save people 90%, and most of our jobs are done in as little as 24 hours. So before we dive in here, I'm going to just kind of go over a quick overview of how this video is going to work, what we're going to cover. If you haven't already watched our other videos, we've covered some other territories. Last week we did Norman. I encourage you to check that out. But one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to cover the actual area of Dallas. What are some of the demographics of Dallas that may or may not make it a successful area? Then we're going to cover some of the climate conditions. You know, wood rot and termites are something that happen in different ways in different climates across the U.S., across the world. And we're going to talk about where Dallas falls on that map. We're also going to talk about what types of repairs can be done. And we're going to look at some inventory, some housing inventory there in the Dallas area and look at different types of things that could be repaired. So here we go, Dallas, Texas. Let's jump to the first slide here, and I need to jump over. There we go. I'm still getting used to doing these live, so bear with me. Here we go. Wood deterioration in Dallas, Texas. I said the first thing we would do is we would cover the map. And here's the reason why we cover the map. We're a brand new franchise. And a lot of people are always asking me, hey, it works in Oklahoma where you're from. You've proven that results. You have an item 19. You're showing some great financial performance. But what about my area? How's my area different? Well, the first thing that we can do here is look at a map. Now, this is from the American Wood Protection Association. It's something that the federal government uses to determine different types of wood that they're going to use for telephone poles across the country. And so our prototype location, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, is in a zone 3. Now, there are 5 zones, the highest or worst being the severe. That's the Gulf Coast and the Atlantic. And then it kind of works its way up to a 3, moderate, where we're at. And then, of course, it can go all the way down to a 1, being a low. Now, one thing I always like to remind people of is I'm here in Oklahoma, moderate. And Dallas, Texas, where we're going to be talking about today, is also a moderate. But that doesn't mean wood rot is an issue across the U.S. And one thing that we do when you're talking with myself or one of our franchise development professionals about your area and potentially about purchasing a franchise is we determine the size of the territory based off of the region that you're in. So more severe regions get smaller territories. Less severe regions give larger territories. So anyway, what we're talking about today, though, Dallas, a lot like Oklahoma City. I'm very familiar with the area, so I think I'll be able to speak really closely to the conditions and their climate. So here we go. This is the Dallas area that we're going to be talking about. So first of all, Dallas is a massive area. I'm sure all of you already know that. And so when you're thinking about Dallas, a lot of people say DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth. Now, we're only going to be talking about kind of the Dallas side, not the Fort Worth-Arlington side. So kind of like I-35 to the east, or I-35 east to the east. So what does that include? That's Dallas, Garland, Plano, McKinney, all these kind of areas there that you can see And you'll look here, there are some key numbers that I want to bring to your attention. And then we're going to drill in here a little bit on the actual territory maps. But there are a total of 7 available territories inside of this region. That means it's a great opportunity for building an empire, for purchasing multiple units and really scaling this thing up, because there's a ton of opportunity. As you can see, with 1.4 million homes in this metro area, there is a lot of homes that are potentially going to have wood rot on them. Now, we're going to nerd out here for a minute. This is one of my more favorite things. There are 4 certified local governments. And you're probably saying, Ty, what the hell is a certified local government? Well, this is really cool and really unique to Preservin. Preservin was born out of a historic preservation contractor. And I know a little bit about being in the historic preservation space. Now, 4 local certified governments, that means that there are 4 cities in this area that have committed to standards and guidelines for historic preservation. That means you've got 4 towns or cities that have said, we are going to follow the Secretary of Interior's standards and guidelines for historic preservation. And I can say this boldly, that I believe, and I'm almost certain, that Preservin is the only home service business out there that has a service that has been approved and authorized by the Secretary of Interior standards and guidelines. Heck, ours follow what they call historic preservation briefs. So all of our services fall within those historic preservation briefs. And what is that? Well, it sounds like a lot of like kind of nerd stuff, but what does that mean? Well, that means that there's a lot of homes, and if you notice my next point there, 22 historic preservation districts in this area. That's a collection of homes that may be as few as 300, but as many as like almost 1,000. So there's 22 of these neighborhoods, these districts inside of this area that have stringent guidelines. And that means if somebody wants to replace a door or replace a window, they can't just go to the hardware store or the Home Depot and buy something off the shelf and replace it. They have to follow these guidelines. And those they can take a lot of time, and they can be really expensive. And so this is where we come in with that 90% less and 24 hours. Meaning we can be, as a franchisee, you could be a huge hero in these communities and these districts. So yeah, we have 4 certified local governments. I'm terrible with my notes here. I didn't write them down. So I'm going to guess. Dallas, I know, is 1. Plano is another. Rockwall is the other. And I believe Royce City, which doesn't show up on the map, but it's a little bit further down I-30 from Rockwall. So these are your certified local governments. And then with the 22 historic preservation districts, a majority of those fall inside of Dallas, but all those other towns have some districts themselves. And these aren't just houses either. These are commercial properties, those main streets where you could be building relationships as a franchisee to do repairs on some of those really awesome old school Western downtown buildings. Now let's look at some other factors here. There are 40,000 homes built before 1940. Now, what do we know? Here's what we know. We know that wood is used on the exterior of almost all homes, even homes built today. Modern wood, by most manufacturers, has a 10 to 15 year lifespan, means that starts to deteriorate within about 15 years. So with that being said, we've got over 778,000 homes built before 2000 that now the wood on their house is in the deterioration time. And with 40,000 of those built before 1940, that's that high area of deterioration. These are the homes that are getting closer to that 80 and 100-year-old mark. So great opportunities for repair. And we can really, one of the things that we do when we're talking to a potential franchise candidate is we really dive in to the data. I'm a data person. I like to see it by the numbers. And what we can look through here is if you look 1.3 million households. We've got, like I said, 40,000 built before 1940. 37 before 1949. And you can just see the numbers climb there. 3.8 million people. And the household incomes are really solid with over, you can see these brackets of people making over $100,000. If I do some quick math, I see 260, almost 400,000 individuals in this area have over $100,000 household income. So really, really great demographics. Like I said, 7 territories available. So you've got a lot of opportunity to really build an empire of saving the planet, saving your community, saving the neighborhood here in Dallas, Texas. So what types of things can you imagine if you start to get your head wrapped around what would I be repairing if I had a Dallas Preserve and franchise? Well, the first one I always like to do is show off, because I want you to get your head out of thinking small and thinking big. Really, there's no limit to what our epoxy repair system can do. This is a log, log house. There's not a ton of these in our region, but when they happen, they can rot really severely and they can be really expensive to repair. But we were able to come into this one, repair it. This house was actually owned or built by Wiley Post's girlfriend with a designer out of California. So a lot of cool history on this one, but we were able to repair that, save them thousands upon thousands of dollars, and really save a piece of history. And that's what a lot of our Preserve and franchises are doing. They are saving pieces of history and help saving their neighbors money and saving the planet. Here's just a simple everyday repair. So it's not all just big, sexy, historic buildings. It's also just super basic things that almost all houses have. This is a garage door jamb. When these houses are built, the jamb, the wood, sits right on top, and we get right there, right on top of the concrete. And that concrete holds water, and that wood sits on top, and it just sucks the moisture up like a straw, causing it to rot. And that rot went up as high as about a foot. These things are crazy expensive and super inconvenient to repair. And this is where Preservin, as a business, we're a relationship building company. So if you become a Preservin franchise, you're expected to build relationships. And this job was generated out of a relationship with a garage door replacement company, because garage door replacement companies love replacing doors, hate repairing garage door jambs, don't even want to do it. They need a referral partner, and you can build yourself as a referral partner in that community. Here's another one. This one gets me because people just don't understand the cost and the time. This is a wood window out of a house built, I think, in the late 90s, early 2000s. It comes up for sale. Inspector goes and looks at it. It looked just fine until he started poking the corner and realized that it was rotting. Now the seller is stressing out because what are they going to do? There are 3 of these windows, and they're like 10,000+ to get all of them repaired, and they're all rotting, and it's going to jam up closing. So they're kind of balancing. Am I going to discount the price of my house? Am I going to order these windows? They're 16, 20+ weeks out, put the money in escrow, or am I going to, what am I going to do? So they became aware of us through a lunch and learn. Call us up, we come out, we repair it, and we prioritize these referrals. So we make sure our real estate clients get primary booking, priority booking, get out there, get it repaired, get it done before closing, give the new homeowner a 10-year guarantee, because what do we know? We know that our service has been used on some of the most beautiful properties. It's been used on the Statue of Liberty, Monticello, Mount Vernon. So it definitely can be used on this house. Save them thousands of dollars and got them to closing. Everybody's happy. Everybody wins. The planet is better. The community is better. The pocketbook is better. Win, win, win. That's what Preservin is all about. So let's dive in to the area and look at, I just pull a Zillow report and look at what's for sale and look at these houses and see what types of things a Preservin franchise could do. And so when I do this, I'm going to switch over here. when I do this, what I do is I just kind of set my, it's if you're doing a little research in your neighborhood, you're thinking, preserving. Ty hasn't done a video on that. I want to do my own research. Here's what you can do. Just circle the area that you're thinking about wanting to serve. Set the low at 500,000. Now that's high. I know it's way more than my house costs, but at the same time, I always say we want to think about that ideal candidate: lakes, gates, golf courses, historic properties. Now I'm one of those ideals because the house I'm sitting in right now was built in 1920, and I've got wood rot everywhere. So if you're like me, this is really starting to make sense. But you set that at that, and then you can go in here to this more section, and I'm going to scroll here, and year built. Set your year built to a maximum of 2,000. That way you can just get rid of the new fluff. Like I said, wood deterioration starts happening after a house has been around for about 15 years. We'll jump it up to the year 2000, give us 23 years to look at. So let's look at these houses. And I'm not going to look at price, because these prices range all over the place, but we'll pick a good variation here. And let's look at this one. See if it'll load up here. Really cool house. Got some vintage vibes. This is built in 1939. So this fits that pre-1940 number we were looking at earlier. It's in Dallas on Junius Street. 600,000. And what do I see? Well, it looks like we've got plenty of fascia and soffit that definitely will rot. One of the things, people don't install gutters right. Roofing contractors don't install the drip edge right. This causes rot. And so it gives us a great opportunity for areas to repair. Also, those wood doors. Another thing that always is creating issues is sprinklers. Now, I know living here in this area of the country, if you want to keep your yard green, you got to water it. But a lot of times you're not just watering your yard, you're watering your house. And the only thing that grows when you water your house is rot. So that's definitely could be going on this property. That one looks like a little bit of a fixer upper. Let's jump to one that's gone through a little bit. I mean, there's so many houses. I was going to see if we could find a good, look at this one. Now, this one looks like it's been recently renovated. Built in 1948. Got a little bit of a Craftsman ranch style vibe going on. And it's probably not going to rot just yet, but they've added a ton of wood features on the outside of this house. And, people love wood. So you definitely have wood windows there. You've got wood shutters. But you see all of those wood columns or posts or whatnot, and then that wood garage door. That's all stuff that over time is going to rot. You keep that yard looking that green, and that moisture is going to end up on the bottom of that post, and the bottom of that post is going to rot. And go to Home Depot and check out what the cost of one of these cedar columns are, cedar posts. They're super expensive. And then you still got to deal with that handyman headache to get them out there. They get out there, they give you a quote after they've scratched their head for 3 days or something else. And then, you finally hire them. They show up. They don't have all the stuff. They sent their brother's nephew's cousin who's just chain smoking on your front porch. That's the handyman headache you want to get away from. They love preserving. We come out, we can match any texture, match any color. We can even do faux finishes, gone like it was never there. Saved them thousands of dollars, saved them a major headache, which sometimes I think people like saving the headache as much as they like saving the money. So see, man, you showed us some older stuff. Let's look at a newer one. I want to pick this one right here. This looks like a typical, what people would call a McMansion. We love McMansions here. They can be great they still have wood deterioration. So, a lot of times those windows are going to be trimmed with wood. That definitely, a grand entrance, a wood door like that, going to have some, it's going to end up getting some rot on it there across the bottom. That fascia and soffit is going to rot. This house doesn't have as many things as some of the older houses have, but it still has plenty to rot. And a wood door can cost thousands of dollars. Some of the bigger wood doors that you see on houses, and this isn't my number, this is the Remodeling Magazine's number, and this is the cost of what they would call a grand entrance. And what does a grand entrance look like? A grand entrance looks like, let's see if we can zoom in here, like this picture right here. You've got a door with a couple of side lights or a double door. Remodeling Magazine says that on average across the U.S. is about $13,000. That's a lot. And, the nicer the wood, the more expensive, the more details, the more expensive that can go. That's just an average. 90% less is our typical job. A lot of times for 90% less, we're not only repairing that wood door, but we're repairing the garage door, the side door, the back patio door, and something else, and still coming in at 90% less than just the front door. With our average ticket is about $1,500. So that really can help you understand the opportunity here. We could look through properties. I mean, there are so much. And like I said, if you live in an area and you're wondering, does Preservin make sense? That's a great way to just start to visualize it. Visualize all of that wood rot that's in your area. Google search historic district in, and a lot of times you'll see what kind of historic districts or historic preservation commission. That is one of the things that I love about our business, is that we get to do those things, get to work on those historic properties and get to add value, like I said, not only to our communities, to our built environment, but ultimately to our natural environment. Hey, if you want to learn more about Preservin, my name is Ty. I'd love to talk to you about it. You can go to gopreservin.com, fill out a little bit of information. Typically, you're going to get a call from somebody in our office, but a lot of times it's just me. We're a startup brand. I'm just getting to know everybody out there and enjoying the process of getting to know these amazing and beautiful communities across our great country. So I look forward to seeing everybody on the next call for our next territory deep dive. Have a great Tuesday. Later.